Hi guys, I'm Rex King. Welcome back to Monday Night Movie, and today we're talking about Gigi. Gigi was the 1958 Best Picture winner. It was directed by Vincent Minnelli, the same guy who directed An American in Paris. Weirdly enough, that isn't the only connection that this film has to An American in Paris. It was also produced by Arthur Freed, who produced An American in Paris, and stars Leslie Caron, who co-starred in An American in Paris. The film made $9.7 million at the box office on a budget of about $3.3 billion and was a huge hit with critics, winning 9 Academy Awards. So how does this film measure up to other Academy Best Picture winners? Well, let's talk about the story first. The story of Gigi follows a girl named, well, you guessed it, Gigi, who is this a young girl who lives with her grandma in Paris. Her grandma's played by Hermione Gringold, and they are friends with this rich socialite named Gaston, played by Louis Jordan. Enter your Beauty and the Beast pun here. He and Gigi have a similar problem. They both don't really believe in love. Gaston thinks it's a bore because it's the same thing over and over again, and Gigi doesn't fully understand why people want need it. Therefore, she doesn't really fully grasp what love actually is. This starts to change when they start to develop feelings for each other, blossoming from a friendship to a relationship. And they end up confessing their feelings towards the end and living happily ever after. Your standard romance story. Now, a story like this can work as long as the film moves pretty decently and the conflict is intriguing. However, this story does move really well, but the second point, the conflict being intriguing, is almost non-existent. The main conflict of the film seems to be that Gigi doesn't want to be with Gaston because Gaston is this famous socialite, therefore all of his love affairs are well documented and almost always end in scandal. She doesn't want that type of life. However, the film doesn't really solve this issue and it kind of gets quickly dismissed. So it's almost non-existent. The other issue it seems to raise is that Gigi and Gaston aren't from the same walks of life, her being a poor French resident while him being a rich, famous socialite. But they were already well-known friends before this, and that never really stopped them from hanging out or for Gaston to go to Gigi's residence. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure what the conflict is supposed to be in this film, and it does make the film feel kind of hollow. Like I said, the film does move pretty well, and the pacing is decently done, and you never really feel like the film's overstaying its welcome. It just, even though you might be rooting for the characters, there's just nothing that's stopping them from being together. So overall, the story feels a little bit hollow. So I'm going to give the story score a 4 out of 10. Then we come to the characters, and here's another issue with the film. None of the characters are written all that well. None of them are really written three-dimensionally, and there isn't really a character I latched onto and rooted for throughout the film. Therefore, none of these characters really matter to me. So overall, they're just kind of there and feel kind of hollow. I do think they're terribly written. Most of these characters are likable, but with a lack of a character for me to be attached to, it did take me out of the story. I'm going to give the character score a 5 out of 10. Again, none of these characters are written terribly. They just don't feel entirely three-dimensional. Then we have the performances. And here's the bright spot in the film. The performances are really well done. Especially with Leslie Caron as Gigi and Louis Jordan as Gaston. Their chemistry holds the film up spectacularly, and they play these characters, adding their own flair to these otherwise poorly written characters really well. So they are really what holds up the film. All the performers manage to add a little bit to their characters to really make them feel like real people and three-dimensional characters, even though they're not really particularly well written. So I do have to give props to the performers. So I'm going to give the performance a 9 out of 10. Then we have the visual style. And usually for a musical like this, I forgot to mention this movie is a musical, I expect at least one or two show-stopping numbers, some brilliant visuals, maybe some great cinematography, and I got none of that. Unfortunately, most of the musical numbers in this film consist of characters standing or sitting in one place and singing straight into the camera. May I remind you that American in Paris was almost 20 years before this and did that better. Like, the music numbers in that film are show-stopping way more in comparison to this thing. I'm really not sure what they were going for. It feels more like a stage play at times, and that's kind of a problem. There should be a difference between a stage performance and a musical on a big screen. Now, I do want to say the sets look pretty good, and I really love the costume work, especially the costume work on our main character, as we show her starting from an innocent girl to becoming a fully mature, sophisticated adult. The costumes really show this well, and I do enjoy how they use costume to show the character's transformation. It's just a shame that none of the backgrounds or musical numbers really enhance the viewing here. So, though I love the costuming and I love the sets, I am going to have to give this thing a 6 out of 10 for visual style, just because I feel like it's lacking in some places. Then you have the music, and the music here is relatively good for the most part. The songs vary from okay to pretty decent. As my personal favorite song has to be I Remember It Well, the song between the grandmother of the main character and the uncle of the love interest. I really enjoyed this small moment these two characters have, and I really wish the film had focused more on their relationship at times because I was really intrigued what this song presented to me. The weakest song has to be Thank Heavens for Little Girls. That song has not aged well. It's really creepy when you start listening to the lyrics. It just does not feel right at all. That being said, I can't fault a film for not aging to modern specifications. That being said, the not musical elements into the film, the just standard orchestral score, does occasionally feel like it could be the orchestral score for any romance of this particular time period. So, though I don't hate the music, I do feel like it could have been better, but I still enjoyed it overall. So I'm going to give the music score a 7 out of 10. That brings me to my final verdict. Gigi is one of the weaker Best Picture winners I've ever seen, and I'm really curious how it even won Best Picture, let alone won 9 awards. I really don't remember many films from 1958, and I haven't seen that many. But I can imagine there were better ones than this. I mean, this isn't even standard visual spectacle. It honestly is just kind of okay. I mean, it's not a bad movie. It moves pretty okay. The performances are really good. The music's mildly entertaining. And the costume work is quite brilliant. But it just doesn't have anything I would expect from a Best Picture winner. But overall, I still think it's a good movie. And if you haven't seen it, it's worth a watch. So I'm going to give Gigi a 6 out of 10. Like I said, I did get some enjoyment out of it, but I just wish it was a little better. Anyway, that's what I thought about Gigi. What do you think about it if you've seen the film? Let me know in the comments below. And next week, we're going back to the Golden Age with Across the Pacific. And if you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.